Guys are crappy. Yeah, and I'm like, no, just leave them. Yes.
Okay, attention to everyone. I'm now calling the planning board. Now, trustee meeting is about to begin. It's 7:30. So I'd like to open it. First, we do a roll call. Susan?
Present.
Caroline?
Here.
Patricia here. Ronnie?
Here.
Jeff?
Here.
Okay, I move to open the public comment period. Are there any comments?
Just a second. You don't have to second.
Oh, okay,
I don't
sorry.
have to open.
Okay. I have public here, but no comments. Then I entertain a motion to close the public comment period.
I second.
And Ainsley seconds. Let's see where we are now.
You vote? All those in favor?
All those in favor, I always forget that.
Aye.
All those in favor.
Aye.
So the next item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from September the 15th and October the 3rd. We have to do it in two separate votes because Dobbin was gone on October the 3rd and myself and Ainsley on September the 15th. So which ones do you want to do first?
September 15th.
So I move to approve the minutes for September the 15th.
Someone else has to move it.
Oh, I can't move it,
I'll move
sorry.
it.
You move it.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No,
Aye.
okay, sorry. So
Abstentions?
I'm abstaining.
And I'm abstaining.
Okay, I move to, we're at minutes for the October 3rd.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Abstention.
And Jeff is abstaining. Okay. Minutes, so it's a dedication now. The next item on the agenda is to dedicate this conference room to Donald Hartill. There have only been 5 mayors of the village of Lansing. What is distinctive about Don's time is that he was mayor for 25 years, making him the longest reigning mayor of the village. Some of the big projects during this time as mayor include the reconstruction of the North Triphammer Road, the building of a new village garage and this administration building, a new park on Northwood Road, many road, sewer and water reconstruction and expansion projects. And all this was done while keeping the village taxes low. Don is currently chair of the physics department at Cornell. He has been a great leader for both the village and the university. It is with great pleasure that I put forward the following resolution. To dedicate the Village of Lansing Conference Room to Donald Hartill, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby dedicates the Village of Lansing Conference Room to Donald Hartill in appreciation of his many years of service to the Village of Lansing. Donald Hartill served well and faithfully as trustee from 1989 to 1993, as deputy mayor from 1993 to 1996, and as mayor from 1996 to 2021. A plaque has been purchased by the Village of Lansing and shall be prominently displayed within the village conference room in recognition of this service. Now, do I do deputy, as deputy mayor?
You move it?
I, as deputy mayor, move that the village conference room be dedicated to Donald Hartill, and I need a second.
I'll second.
Susan Ainsley seconds the motion. All those in favor, say aye.
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 I did want to say that I received an email from Roy Park on Friday announcing that the Triad Foundation would be making a grant in the amount of $10,000 in honor of Don's service to the village of Lansing, which is very generous. The plaque is over here on the wall. You guys may all admire it. And we will take a break until 8 o'clock for cookies and cake.
So you can all sort of chit chat congratulate Don, and just have some cake and cookies, and then at 8 o'clock we'll resume our board meeting.
Hi, Mike.
Did John leave?
Okay.
Stayed.
John, Courtney.
Right here.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Don, are you leaving? Bye.
Online.
Congratulations. Well done.
Okay, he's staying.
Okay, so the planning, we're going to resume the planning, board meeting for the trustees. Ronnie had we're talking about the Greenway plan, public hearing. Ronnie had previously sent an updated version of the Greenway plan to everyone with the changes that were made by Greenwald, and a few more errors that Ake found were also fixed. There were no public comments at the August 15th meeting. Greenwald had further changes on September the 19th, and the public hearing on the proposed Greenway plan was closed. The trustees did not adopt that version of the revised Greenway plan. Since Greenwald's changes were significant, the trustees felt that the new public hearing should be done with the new document. A new version has been created and posted on the village website. I entertain a motion to open the Greenway plan public hearing.
So moved. This is Ronnie.
Second.
Second.
Oh, who
We need a
seconded?
second.
Yes,
I'll second.
Second.
sorry, I thought. Okay. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Is there any public comment? Hearing none. Motion to close the public, I put forward a motion to close the public hearing. I do need a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor, raise your hand and please say aye.
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 Is there any further discussion from the trustees? Anything from you, Ronnie?
No, I just wanted to thank everyone who provided comments and revisions to this version. I greatly appreciate excuse me, all of the work that the Greenway Committee, the Board of Trustees, and everyone else involved contributed to this document.
Okay, thank you. I'd entertain a motion to approve the updated Greenway plan.
So move. This is Ronnie.
I'll second.
Resolution to approve the updated Greenway plan. So it's made a motion to approve. So it's all those in favor, right?
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the Lansing Meadows escrow. The planning board is recommending that the trustees establish an escrow account for Lansing Meadows in the amount of $38,700. Natalie has prepared a resolution. The resolution reads as follows. Do I read that? Okay. Whereas developer Eric Godsman has failed to meet the deadline N of special permit number 2021-4516, completion of the foundations for phase 2, building 8 and 14 by July 26, 2022, and pursuant to condition Q of special permit 2021-4516. If any deadline under the special permit is not met, an additional escrow may be required to be established and funded for the cost of complying with the special permit as determined by the Village of Lansing Board of Trustees and Department of Public Works. And at a meeting of the Village of Lansing Planning Board on September 12th, 2022, the Planning Board voted to recommend to the Board of Trustees that an escrow be established as a result of developers' failure to comply with condition N, and upon review of the Planning Board recommendation and following discussion of the issues related to the failure of the developer to complete the foundation construction with the Department of Public Works, the Board of Trustees accepts the recommendation of the Planning Board and shall require an establishment of an escrow account as a result of developer's failure to fulfill condition N of special permit 2021-4516. And the use of the escrow fund shall be limited to the village securing the build site if at any point prior to the completion of the foundations for phase 2, buildings 8 and 14, the build site is left in such a condition and for such a duration which upon the determination of the Department of Public Works and the Code Enforcement Officer poses a threat to public safety. And now, therefore, be it resolved as follows. The Village of Lansing Board of Trustees hereby requires that in connection with special permit number 2021-4516, an escrow amount be established and that the developer fund said escrow account in the amount of $38,700 within 7 business days of the filing of a fully executed escrow agreement, which conforms to the intent and restrictions set forth in this resolution. The Village of Lansing Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the mayor to execute such escrow agreement on behalf of the village, subject to the final approval as to form and content of the mayor and the attorney for the village, and to take such further action as may be necessary and appropriate to give full force and effect to this resolution. And the Village Board of Trustees hereby authorizes and requests that the mayor, village clerk, treasurer, and the attorney for the village take such steps as may be necessary, desirable, and/or appropriate to effectuate the intent of the foregoing resolution and any and all actions therefore or hereafter taken by the mayor, village clerk/treasurer, and the attorney for the village within the terms and in conformity with the intent and purpose of the foregoing resolution, hereby are in all respects ratified, confirmed, and approved as the proper and authorized acts and deeds of the village. So I can put forward the motion, right?
We have John Courtney explain how the amount was arrived upon at some point.
Do you want me to do the motion first, or?
No, go ahead.
No,
Ask him.
Yeah, I motioned.
No.
ask
Ask John.
Oh, John, could you explain how you came up with the money? Is that what you wanted?
Yes.
Yes.
The Village of Lansing had several hundred feet of fence put in, and I feel that's the simplest way to secure the site, because really nobody at this time knows what condition they would leave the site in. So we come up at $70 a linear foot for that, is what the village had to pay after competitive bidding for prevailing wage fence install. And I use that estimate because if the village has to pay for something like that, it would have to be under prevailing wage. And also, I added 3,000 for soil stabilization, and that was the simplest way. I measured the footage up, and I think it was 510 feet at $70 a linear foot.
Good,
I'm just using real numbers.
John. I would like a motion to approve this resolution and a second.
I so move. I'll second.
All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next on the agenda is to discuss Little Free Library liability/approve. At Thursday's meeting, the board discussed a request from Mackenzie Torelli of Northeast Elementary School to add Little Free Libraries to Dankard and Harthill Parks. The board first wanted to know from Attorney French if there were any liabilities. How would you, Natalie?
Well, I first just want to say that I wouldn't consider this an alienation of parkland because the use is incidental to that of a public park. A public library has been found multiple times to be incidental to public park usage. I think just general issues of premise liability, as with any park or attraction, would apply. Maintaining the area around the Little Free Library to avoid any slip and fall, making sure the Little Free Library is placed in a place to reduce likelihood of injury, lighting around the Little Free Library, though in speaking to Jody, the park closed at dark, so that may not be as much of a concern. So I think there is some inherent liability with any time you're attracting the public to a specific spot. Also, control of what goes inside of the library, obviously with First Amendment concerns, there's not much the village can do to control that content, but just the chance of things being left in the box and the box not being monitored as frequently as we may like it to be, especially if it's village property, the question of if the village is taking on that responsibility. In speaking to the representative from the elementary school, the idea was that the box would be donated to the village, therefore it would be village property. If the village is fine taking on that specific liability, you may want to speak to the insurance provider just so
That
they're
was gonna be
aware.
my suggestion, was that just make sure that our insurance is on board.
Another option would potentially be to see if the elementary school would be open to a license agreement, whereas the village permits the box to be on village land, but the village is indemnified for any liability through the private owner of the box. And that would be my two routes.
Okay.
If you guys are for it, you said it would be okay if it become the village property?
If the village is willing to assume the liability associated, and the insurance company is okay with the village assuming that.
Or we have, the other suggestion from you was
A
a
license agreement.
license. So the liability would be the school, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with license agreement. They usually have to put up some kind of an insurance and hold the village's additional insured on that liability.
So
It's
with,
probably the simplest way, or, I mean, that's the only really two options, right? I mean.
Yeah, just not allow it and have them put it on private property somewhere.
I'm fine with either one.
I prefer that we allow it, because I just think I love the Little Free Libraries. I think it would be super cute if you go to a playground and have the books there for the children. And in weighing liabilities, there's always liability, and swing sets just seem to me more inherently dangerous than books. And so if we can figure out a way to insure for swing sets, I feel like we can figure out a way to insure for the books. I would like to clarify that with the insurance, but as long as it's clarified and covered in the same way that the village is taking on a liability for the swing set, which does, which is a way big, in my mind, a way bigger risk. There's way more lawsuits about that than there are about like people.
We can have our guys monitor it. I mean, look in there and see if there's they do garbage once, maybe twice a week. If there's any rated material in there, we'll just chuck it in the garbage or something. I mean, it's an option.
I still think we need to clarify that it's covered with insurance, but I prefer that we take this opportunity than that we don't take this opportunity, as long as we are sufficiently covered.
I think we do have to look into the coverage before a decision.
I can call them tomorrow and find out, and we can decide at our next meeting. Good?
Okay. Do you have any say on anything, Ronnie?
I agree with Carolyn, and I agree with Natalie also. I think it's a nice feature. It will be an attraction, an additional attraction to one of our premier parks. It was both Marion Harthill and Philip Dankert Park, so those two parks, and those two parks are visited very often by a lot of different children. So I think it's a nice feature to add, as long as we don't incur any kind of unreasonable liability beyond what Natalie's already mentioned. And the insurance coverage is also important, just to be sure it's also included in our current coverage.
Okay, so Jody, you'll look into that.
Yeah.
Do you think we should ask about the other suggestion from Natalie, about the license, having them see if they would what is it, give us a license to
We
put it
would
on the
give them a
forum?
license to put it on public land, and someone else, be it the school or whoever owns the little library, would be the owner of it. It would require them to get additional insurance, as John mentioned, naming the village as an additional insured. They would indemnify the village, likely at an increased cost to them, so I don't know how appealing it would be to them, but it's certainly an option.
Is it
But we would take care of, keep everything caught.
Maintain the area.
maintain it and that, but they would be, they'd hold the liability if there is, so,
Well, they will come in and replenish and change out the books. So even if it is in our property,
So they do have
They can.
stewards that do that,
Yes.
right? Volunteers from Northeast.
What's the frequency of that, Jody?
I have no idea.
I would still have guys check it if we take ownership, just because you never know what gets.
Well, it depends on how much it's used, like, so like the bright red bookshelves that the Family Reading Partnership does, it depends on the location. Some locations are like super popular, so they're replenishing them weekly, and then some locations are, in some doctor's office, maybe there's a lot less usage than like the Wegmans one, so they don't replenish them as much.
so it sounds like we do have to look into the insurance, and I suppose we continue to the next meeting
Yes.
on the whole thing, and
I mean, if the insurance is secured, then it might not be necessary to license. We could always ask about the licensing first, and if that's too complicated, then decide if we want to just feel like the insurance coverage is sufficient, depending on whether it is or not.
if that's fine with everyone, fine with me.
So I'll put it on the agenda for next week.
So put it on
next
the,
meeting.
for our next meeting. Okay, now the solar farms New York campaign letter. At the last meeting, Ronnie had stated that Attorney French advised against sending the solar farms New York campaign letter from the village and mayor, and it was decided not to send the letter. However, Ronnie has requested that this be on the agenda for further discussion. Ronnie, would you like to speak on this? Because there's a paragraph here, which I think,
No.
no, I should read it?
Yeah, Ronnie?
Oh, okay.
Yes, I will tell you, I apologize for bringing this back up. Natalie had sent me a clarifying email that I had not read before our last meeting. And in that letter, she said that she had problems with us sending the letter and receiving the $100 donation to the village. So we're presented with two options, and I'm fine with either one. One is that we removed, there's I think it's the fourth paragraph in the letter, the last sentence said, additionally, for every new account, excuse me, for every new account, Solar Farms New York will donate $100 to the village. And Natalie, correct me if I'm stating any of this wrong, so just speak up. If we remove that sentence, and we don't ask or will not receive the donation, that this letter could go out. But if we leave this in, if we continue to want to receive $100 per new subscription, that we would not send a letter, and we would just be passive supporters as a village for this campaign, and we would receive $100. So I just wanted to present both of these options to the trustees to see if they had feelings one way or the other. I'm good with either way.
Do you want me to read what we have here? Oh, okay.
So that was a correct characterization. Just for some background, I also spoke to NICOM about this issue to see if they've encountered it with other municipalities. They have. They said generally they have recommended against any sort of letter which is seen as an endorsement of a private company. I know they added the language that it's not an exclusive endorsement, but they did say it is still an endorsement. And also the fact that they saw the $100 to the village and the village sending out the letter being fundraising efforts. So they don't have an issue with the village receiving the funds so long as they are a passive participant.
Thank you. That's even more clarification. So it sounds like we need to just decline sending the letter as we decided last Thursday, and we could continue to receive the $100 donation. So I just wanted to have more of a discussion so we could get this finalized. And then I will, if it's okay with the trustees, I will let Solar Farms New York that we decline sending the letter upon advice of our Natalie, our attorney, and NICOM.
Okay, now do we have to vote or anything? No,
No,
okay.
no, it's just a discussion. So I will take
discussion,
care of
okay.
that tomorrow. I will send them a letter and explain. So thank you for the additional time to discuss it.
Okay, so any comments from the mayor?
Yeah,
Mayor.
I apologize for not being there tonight. I've got a cold. I just did not want to share all the joys of my cold with everyone in the room tonight. So I apologize. And I want to thank Jody for putting together the celebration. The cake and the cookies look great from here. I'm sorry I can't be there to try them. So thank you, Jody.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for it all.
I can put some on your doorstep.
That will just attract varmints if I don't get out there fast enough. Please don't. But anyway, thanks again to Pat for the plaques, Don's plaque and the plaque of mayors. And beyond that, I don't think I have anything else for tonight.
Okay. So any comments from any of the other trustees? General discussion? Oh. Then, is there a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, adjourn at what time?